little Grand Funk Railroad, we're an American band, bringing back to the 70s. Gotta love good music. Anyways, this is MILBradio.com, and we're pleased to have in our second guest of the evening. This is great. We're having a fun show tonight. Our second guest has been the voice of the Salt Lake Bees for this is going to be his 15th season. In 95, he was Utah Sportscaster of the Year. He's also been inducted into the Utah Softball Hall of Fame. It's my pleasure to welcome in the broadcaster from the Salt Lake Bees, Steve Clarkey. Steve, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Tim. How about yourself?
Real good. I'm glad that you're here. I appreciate you being here this evening, taking a little time to talk some baseball. I don't know what the weather's like there in Salt Lake, but I know out here in the Midwest we're bearing down here minus 5 and negative 35 wind chill. It's pretty nuts around here. So I'm sure it's.
The good news is pitchers and catchers report in 29 days. First exhibition games in Arizona and Florida are 6 weeks from today, and I know the PCL season begins 12 weeks from tomorrow.
Excellent. That makes us all nice and warm. That warms us up when we get to hear things like that. Pitchers and catchers report. It's a magic word around here, as they say. I want to kind of jump into this a little bit. Obviously, the Salt Lake Bees have been there a while. They changed their name to the Stingers for a while, and but they've been in the community for a while. How does the team? We got a guy who listens here a lot to our show. He's from Indianapolis, and he talks about those mid-market teams, like where you can have Salt Lake would be one of them. They've got some professional teams, and same in like Indianapolis, they've got some professional teams. How does Salt Lake compare, and how do the Bees fit in the community as a AAA baseball club?
Well, I think, Tim, first and foremost, the pecking order looks like this. Obviously, Utah Jazz basketball is number one. BYU football, and certainly University of Utah football this year with their spectacular run to the Sugar Bowl and victory over Alabama. Those are probably tied for second, followed by BYU and University of Utah basketball. After that, everybody fights for what's left. Unfortunately, I think the Bees have more than held their own. It's unfortunate when you lose a franchise, but the Utah Blaze of the Arena Football League, along with the rest of the league, taking a year off, and you have to wonder if they're ever going to come back. And so that opens up the market a little bit. There's, of course, the great oxymoron, Major League Soccer, that's here in town as well. You've got Utah Grizzlies, which is East Coast Hockey League hockey, and so I would equate that with AA. So with that, and of course, the other colleges, Utah State, Weber State, everybody's fighting for their piece of the pie, but I think baseball has made a little bit of a resurgence here of late. 2008 marked the first time since 2000 that we surpassed 500,000 in attendance and averaged over 7,000 a game. So I think things are back on the upswing. I don't know if we'll ever return to the halcyon days when in 94, the first year of the franchise, when we were known as the Buzz for those first 7 years, drew over 700,000 and averaged over 10,000 a game.
Now, you just mentioned there has been a couple name changes. It's all been Bee related. What has facilitated the name change? Just kind of a marketing promotion type of a thing, or was there?
Well, I like to tell people it's because I need a new wardrobe every 5 or 6 years. But actually, we were the Buzz from '94 to 2000, and the ownership was sued by the folks over at Georgia Tech. Apparently, at a sports store in Atlanta, somebody bought one of our baseball caps thinking it was a Georgia Tech hat because the mascot for the Yellow Jackets is a bee named Buzz. And for some reason, Georgia Tech took the team to court, and the courts actually ruled in their favor, and we had to change our name and also pay the university $500,000 in damages. Of course, the other side of things, Georgia Tech ended up having to pay their attorneys $1 million for the whole deal. So they actually lost $500,000 on the whole lawsuit. When they switched it to Stingers then in 2001, it did actually coincide with the affiliation change after 7 years with the Minnesota Twins. The daughter of the original owner, Hillary Buzes, taking over for Joe, the longtime minor league baseball owner. She wanted a new affiliation. with a West Coast team. It worked out with the Angels. They had to name the team contest. Stingers won. It wasn't a name that I particularly cared for a whole lot. And when Larry Miller, the owner of the Utah Jazz, bought the team in 2005, he wanted to bring the team name back to Bees from the days from the I think 1920s all the way up through, for the most part, AAA baseball, and even sometimes the Pioneer League team were nicknamed the Bees. So he wanted to bring the name back to what it was during his childhood. Of course, under minor league baseball rules, they had to get permission from the Burlington Bees of the Midwest League. And it was interesting. I'm sure there was some money that exchanged hands, but one of the things that they agreed to facilitate the opportunity to change the name to Bees is that obviously here in Utah, a heavy a Mormon population, and the trek west for Mormons back in the 1800s began in Nauvoo, Illinois, and that's a big vacation spot for the LDS during the summer because they want to go back and see the start of the trek west. Well, Burlington's only 20 minutes away, so every year in our game program, Burlington has a full-page ad asking folks, hey, if you come out to Nauvoo on vacation, why don't you make the extra 20-minute trip up to Burlington and come watch the Bees play there?
It's funny you say that. Having some experience with the Midwest League, they need every advertising person that they can get in there. They're at the bottom when it comes to Midwest League attendance. I mean, I think they average like 300-400 a game. And, you compared to like the Kane County Cougars and the Dayton Dragons of that league, who are averaging like 6,000-7,000 a game, and sometimes 15 in the summer. Yeah, I think they can use anybody who treks that way that can go to a Burlington Bee game. So it's interesting that you say that. But you also mentioned it's kind of an interesting thing, with the Bees, Buzz, whatever, being associated with the Twins. I mean, you were there for some of that, and I want to get into that in a minute. But they actually made a movie about your franchise, Major League 3, back in the minors. Now, a lot of people don't realize that was based on that team. I don't know I can't remember if it took place specifically in your stadium, but I mean, did you get some notoriety out of that?
They actually did the filming in North Carolina, and in the movie they never identified the minor league team as the Salt Lake Buzz, but those were our uniforms that they did use in that particular movie. So it was kind of fun from that standpoint. But if I'm not mistaken, and that the movie was made after the final season as the Buzz, so I don't know if we ever got the uniforms back, but it was it was coincidence from the standpoint that it was that they were playing the Twins, because like I say, they never identified the team in the movie as Salt Lake, but it was kind of fun. Yeah,
I thought maybe you guys might have gotten a little free pub out of that, but like you said, everything kind of changed after that. 646.
Bad news for me was the fact that they used Euchre in the first two, and of course they had the other movie where the kid winds up managing the Minnesota Twins, and they used John Gordon playing the Twins broadcaster. Right. But I never got the call from casting.
A little big league, yeah. They didn't give you the call. Well, maybe you're next on the list. Whatever I heard they're making a remake of Bull Durham, or another sequel to Bull Durham. So maybe we'll get you on the list for that one, because I don't know exactly who they're going to get, but nonetheless, 646-652-2962 is the number directly to us. We were talking with Steve Clucky. He is the broadcaster for the Salt Lake Bees, and he's kind enough to join us here. We do actually have a caller. We have one of our contributors with us, Mike Napper from Cleveland. He's a Cleveland Indians fan, but I know he's got to have an Angels prospect question. Do you have an Angels prospect question there, Mr. Napper?
Well, I do have a question for our guest. It's not about the Angels so much. I'm always intrigued about the travel aspect of minor league baseball. So tell us a little bit about the PCL. It's so large geographically. Tell us a little bit about the travel, and do you travel with the team? I imagine you got to travel by plane to all these destinations, New Orleans,